Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Talk Life. I have a really special guest today. Her name is Tanya Taylor. Tanya is a multi-hyphenate filmmaker who hails from Jamaica. She made her transition to television after working in advertising as a creative director. That experience inspired her to get behind the camera and embark on directing commercials and long-form content. Tanya's devotion to culturally relevant programming is evident in the content she continues to create. From commercials to narrative reality series, her experience and expertise spans across a variety of formats. Tanya currently resides in Los Angeles, California, and just wrapped production on the new Fuse TV competition series called Upcycle Nation that she developed and directed. For Tanya, working is fun, so she plans to continue producing, directing, and show running whatever culturally uplifting projects cross her path. And I am so excited to welcome Tanya to the show. Hi, Tanya.
Hi, London. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. I know you've been so busy and I know there's so much going on, but I love everything you're doing and I love what I'm seeing. And I can't wait to share it with everyone and hear about how you got started and what's going on with you now. So I'd love to hear about your transition into TV and film. How did you make that transition and what made you make that decision?
It was kind of odd because growing up in Jamaica, which is where I'm from,
Mhm.
um, I watched a lot of television as a kid, but I don't think I ever thought that I could be the person who actually created the content I was watching.
Mhm.
There wasn't a lot of us on TV. We got a lot of American and British television, but it was like years later, and it was like rebroadcast and that kind of thing. So that never entered the realm of my understanding of what I could be when I grew up.
Mm.
Um, and after I was in advertising, I I get bored easily. So once I've achieved a goal in something, I'm like, okay, what's next? What's my next challenge? What do I do next?
Mhm.
At the time, I didn't know this about myself, but after about 3 years in advertising, going from account executive to copywriter to creative director, I was like, okay, I've done that. I've won awards. Now what's next? So I
Mm.
quit my job, but then all of the people I'd worked with in the advertising industry started knocking on my door. They started asking me to write, and then there was a female director producer that I had hired to do a lot of commercials for me, and I stayed very close friends with her. And so
Mm.
when she was doing commercials, I was like, "Can I just be a fly on the wall? I'll help in any way I can." And so I started working on projects with her.
Mm.
Um, and finding it interesting and said, hey, maybe this is something I could do. And then one day, very randomly, one of my old clients called me up and said, oh, we're doing a television series, do you want to do it for us? And I was like, wait, what? We're doing a kids TV series and we think you'd be perfect for it, can you come and help us do it? We don't know what to do.
Mhm.
And so after everybody told me I couldn't do it, I then told them I would do it and
Mhm.
taught myself how to make a television series from scratch.
Wow.
So I became and then produced 9 seasons of that series. It was like 32 episodes a year, 64 schools from
Wow.
around the country because it was a kids TV series. Very young, very fun, outgoing series that was kind of my core basis for being in film and TV. And
Mhm.
then while I was doing that, I would work with my old mentor from the industry, and she would get movies would come in, and I would work on movies with her, or I would work on commercials with her as a PA. And then another one of my mentors, Maxine, she did a lot of international commercials, and
Mhm.
she's the thing that was missing with her international commercials and her series and things like that is they never had a script supervisor on the island. So
Mm.
she said, you are such a stickler for perfection and all of this. I need you. I think you'd be a good script supervisor. So
Mm.
I went and I learned how to do that as well. Um,
Mhm.
and I mean, there are courses online. I also came here and did some courses and became a script, like a certified script supervisor. Went back and worked as a script supervisor, worked as a PA, all these other jobs in film and TV, worked as an AD, anything I could do to get my feet wet and to learn
Mhm.
more about international production. And then
Mhm.
I continued to learn, I continued to flow into the series I was now making. Um,
Mhm.
every year. So that's kind of how I stumbled into the industry. Um,
Mhm.
and then just grew. It just grew for me. And, I just enjoyed making it.
I'm glad that you shared that journey because I think a lot of people that are maybe trying to break into the industry or they have their mindset on one thing or one title or one role don't understand the power in excelling where you are first. And to the testament of where what you're saying is your mentors and the people that were grabbing you for these now projects that you worked on for all of these seasons saw something in you in a role that you weren't even doing yet. They saw your skill, they saw your strengths and said, she's not in this role yet, but we could use her. And I think that is so important and something that I like to share whenever people ask, well, how did you get there? Or how are you doing that? I'm like, well, I did a whole lot of things that weren't like the end all be all for me. And I I stewarded it well. When I was in it, I made sure that no one felt like I was too good to be taking out the
Right.
trash and too good to be wiping the windows because in that I could be taking out the trash, but somebody recognizes, wait a minute, she really wants this job. Wait a minute, she's a good worker. She has strong work ethic.
Well, it's not only that, it's that and someone it is that you want somebody with a good work ethic, but
Mhm.
you want also, and this is, when I hire people, even when I was in Jamaica and also now when I'm hiring people, I'm looking for people who no job is too small for them. And they
Mm,
understand that even though it is just getting a cup of coffee or
yes.
you fell on the floor and pick it up, it could mean the entire production shuts down. I tell
Mhm.
people this random story all the time. I was making the KFC quiz show. So I was directing, producing everything, wearing a lot of hats, show
Mhm.
running. And I'm standing in studio and they're kids. So your timing is almost like live. You get a small window to do things. And I had just hired a new production coordinator and new PAs and that sort of thing, for this year on the project. And this guy, the first day we were there, we were filming. In the middle of the the second shoot, so we shot two a day. Middle of the second shoot, I would get up and run to craft services and get a cup of coffee and come back. On day two, when I was about to do that, I turned around and there was a cup of coffee waiting to go in my hand because he paid attention and
Mhm.
he saw that the time it took for me to stop what I was doing, I could stay there and drink the coffee. I could stay there and have the coffee brought to me. And I didn't ask him to do it, but
Mhm.
he watched, he paid attention, and he realized this tiny thing would keep the engine moving. You know,
Mhm.
it is understanding that every role has a piece of the big comes together to make that big picture. So you
Sure.
don't have to know what the big picture is, because I've also had PAs, or not just PAs but APs or whatever, that you hire and you say to them, I need this done, and they want to tell you why it can be done, or but this would be better, and you're just like, yeah, but you don't understand how it fits. It is understanding that you have a role
Mhm.
to play it really well, and it fits into a larger whole. So even though I show run, I can also direct, I can
Mhm.
also produce, I can also challenge produce. You know what I mean? And I can also play all these other roles with the understanding that whatever I'm doing fits into a bigger picture that I don't need to understand right now.
Mm.
You know,
Mhm.
it's not my and the thing about it is because I've done the bigger picture, I kind
Mhm.
of already do understand, so I don't have
Right.
to ask those questions.
Right.
So, and then I understand sometimes, you're just like, why did they make that decision? That's kind of stupid. Directors, producers, showrunners, they are juggling so much that you
Mhm.
don't know about when you're on set, and it has nothing to do with you when they say, "Can you just move?" You know, um, it's not your tone. It's not you have to be nice to people because sometimes it's just like it's a lot.
Mhm.
Over
Mhm.
budget. If you don't make this day, there's just a lot that you're juggling, and
Mhm.
you're human. Um,
Mhm.
and as a woman, that's not excused
Mhm.
then as it is for men.
Mhm.
As a black woman, that's
Mhm.
not excused at all.
Mhm.
It's like really difficult.
Talk to me a little bit more about your experience in that, as being a Black woman in production. You wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had plenty of experiences, good and bad, but I'd love to hear more about that because for me, as a Black woman in the industry, that I've also worn multiple hats and have different skills, I think it's so important to see us not only in front of the camera, but behind the camera, and also hearing those stories and giving voices so that other people can not only be inspired but really understand it's a job and really understand the not only the skill but what it takes on a just on a soft skills level.
Yeah. It is the one thing that I've had, not just no, but I think probably throughout my entire professional career. So even after leaving, I mean, just even growing up, it's a policing of the tone. It
Mm,
is you can't say that, you shouldn't say that. And I was raised mainly by my dad. And so I wasn't, I didn't understand that as a woman, there's certain things you should and shouldn't say.
mm.
And I still don't understand that. Um, I mean, I do know my Emily Post, and all of that sort of thing. However, I never quite fit in with that.
Mm,
Never, ever, 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 ever. I
mm,
would frequently call people out for it. I still don't. I used to get angry about it. Now I roll my eyes and laugh and just move on. Right? But and it's still upsetting
mm.
because sometimes it's people and their microaggressions and their policing of your tone. They don't even realize they've done it. You
Sure.
um, males, black males that I work with,
Mm,
the weirdest thing because they're very protective of, especially the most of the ones I work with and the ones I hire people are good guys and stuff like that.
mhm,
They are very pro me and
mhm,
they're very supportive and all of that sort of thing. But there are times when they think they're protecting me and
mm.
I don't need you to talk for me. Like, so I
Have you always had that confidence to say what you mean and mean what you say? Have you always had that? Or have you had to find that because you saw that there was a lack of respect or a lack of boundaries there set first?
I think I often didn't realize that that's what it was.
Mm,
Um, and I don't think I've ever not had. What I've had is somebody says don't say it because they know I'm gonna call a spade a spade.
mhm, mhm. And these are real things. These are real topics, and I'm glad that you're sharing them because we need to hear, more of the perspective. And I think with that being said, what advice would you give to somebody, especially someone of color that's trying to and aspiring to work in the industry, particularly in the production side of things?
this is what I tell people a lot of the times, especially lately. Every avenue into film and television is different. My,
Mm,
my path is not my path. My journey is not going to be yours.
mhm.
It's not going to be somebody else's. And not just because we're people of color. It's just in general, nobody's path is the same. There is no one way to get in, and there are people who start at the top. So, for
Mm,
example, when I started, I literally started out as a producer director.
mm.
Like I walked into a room, a client was there and says, "Hey, we're making this show. Can we make you do it?
Wow.
Because you did so well as a creative director, we know you can handle the show." And then I taught myself how to do it and did it well.
Mm,
So it is that can happen. You can have a really good idea. Look at Sylvester Stallone, wrote a
mhm,
script. Rocky made it. It was fantastic, right? Um,
mhm,
First script he ever wrote. So when you look at scenarios like that, it is that there are different avenues. There are people who've been writing scripts and rewriting scripts and going to workshops and doing all of these different panels and these fellowships and everything. Because as I used to teach, I've done so many careers. I used to, while I was making TV, I was also a lecturer at a college in Jamaica. I said to the students one day, I said, the difference between me and you is when I was your age and I was in college, I didn't have Google.
mm,
This Nexus. Yes, I'm that old. Um, so Google is your friend. It's now populated so much more information.
mhm,
Making film and television is not rocket science. It's not brain science. It's not brain surgery. It's none of these things, right? There is no life shifting kind of, I need to study this and
mm,
they teach me of this. That requires big books. Like you literally can go to Google. There is a great place called Ghetto Film School. There is, I think it's Studio Binder that has like a whole bunch of resources as well. Staff Me Up has job listings. There is a great for people of color. There is a great um, group on Facebook called Hue You Know, HUE.
yeah.
No, right?
I'm in that group. It's great.
Fantastic group.
Mhm,
Great resource. I've met some great people from there. I've sourced people from there for
mm,
projects. Like some people that I don't hire for the project that I first saw them in, but then I hold on to, you think it's a myth when people say, you may not be good for this, but I'm going to keep you in mind for something else. No, when I meet somebody in a scenario because that's one of my superpowers is I can meet somebody, talk to them about what they like and see maybe what avenues might be best for them in film and television.
mhm,
Because everybody thinks I should be a director, I should be a producer, I should be because everybody wants to be on top, right?
mm,
Um,
mhm,
well, not everybody has that skill set. Not everybody has that talent, that innate talent to be able to tell the overarching story. Not everybody
mhm,
has that talent to be left and right brain to be able to craft a visual and that sort of thing. Main thing is most people say start as a PA.
mhm,
I'll be honest with you, you don't have to.
mm.
You don't have to. Starting at the top is not just for Chad and Brad anymore.
Mm.
Um,
I like that.
it's literally not. So
I like
it is,
that.
you can, hey, I used to hate this when I was coming up. I was like, chill, their parents bought them a camera and now they're a director. Well, who the fuck cares how you became there? Sorry. Who cares how you got it? Like just do it,
Just do it. Yeah.
if you have some coins and you go out and you go to, I'm from New York, so you go to B&H and you buy yourself a decent camera, or hell, you use your iPhone
Mhm.
or your Android because they have those, and you download a free version of Adobe Premiere and you sit down and you teach yourself how to cut it together, and
Mhm.
you make the most awesome reels on TikTok or whatever, and you put that out there and people are like, oh my god, it's cinematic genius. Like, who cares how it starts and you didn't do 100 films before? Look at
Mm.
the guy who made the new Fresh Prince.
Mhm.
During the pandemic, he was just like, I'm just gonna make a trailer for something that I like. And he made the trailer. It got to Will Smith and it's optioned and it's now a TV series in the second season.
Right. It's like moral of the story is just get started and just get started somewhere.
Whatever you want to. You can be a TV critic for your local newspaper, your college newspaper, you're this, you're that, and then start getting to know people in the business and
Mhm.
figuring it out. I mean, there are also transferable skills. So,
Mm,
for example, if you work in admin or event planning, let's try that. You
mhm.
work in event planning and public relations, right? You can be a coordinator or production manager, or you can be a location manager because all of the skills that you have to do to coordinate an event, from permitting to your locations to hiring the right crew to all of these different things. It's kind of what you do in
Mm, mhm. Mhm.
coordination and production management and stuff, you know?
Right.
If you're an accountant, we need movie accountants. You can be a line producer or a production manager. So it is that your most skills are required on a television show. There is very few jobs, if any, that you could mention to me that I could say cannot be transferred to a film and television set.
That's really good to know, and hopefully you saying that inspires someone to feel like
So,
or that feels like maybe it's too late or they can't pivot. It's really great to know that those skills can be transferred and you're needed, you
yes,
know? You just wrapped a really exciting competition series, Upcycle Nation for Fuse
yes,
TV. Talk to me about the idea of the show, where it originated from, and I know it's streaming right now.
yes.
So,
It is every Wednesday at 10 p.m. on Fuse, but during the day on Wednesday, it's already streaming on Fuse Plus, which is like I think $1.99. So get Fuse Plus and watch it.
yes,
So the thing is, okay, so I was called by Fuse when I was wrapping up. I was working on the hype for HBO Max before.
I
Um,
love the hype too.
Great show. Yay, Ricky Hughes. Yay, Rachel Mendez.
I love that show.
Show, Rob Eric from Scout. Very fabulous show. Anyway, so while I was wrapping that up, I had a friend who worked at Fuse doing sex cells with Wheezy, right? And he said to them, "Hey, he heard that they wanted to do this show about upcycling, and he was like,
Mhm.
yo, my girl knows the challenges, man. You should call her. We met on Project Runway last year, and he was like, she has this thing on lock. She's been doing it. She could do it for you." So they called me up, and they had this fabulous concept about upcycling. They wanted to do a competition series that was basically chopped meets upcycling. People
Mhm.
of color know all about upcycling. That's not
Mhm.
what we used to call it.
Right.
That's not what we used to call it. The upcycle, right?
Yeah.
Our parents taking T-shirts and making this for us, or somebody's old shirt jacket is now our jacket, and tweaking it to make it fit, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So they were like, "All right, okay, take us down this path." And so I quickly retooled it and made it into a fashion series.
Wow.
Um, and they loved it. They were like, "Yes, we are on board. We heart it. Let's do this, Tanya. Let's make it happen." So we then took it from there. Um, of course, casting. We casted 24 amazing people from
Wow.
around the US with wild side casting. So it's a big deal. I was very particular with my casting though, because the fashion industry, having worked in it for a little while in television, what I've realized is it leans very heavily not people of color.
Mhm.
And I said, if I was going to make a TV show, I don't want that.
Right.
I don't want that in front of the screen. I don't want that behind the screen.
Mhm.
So in front of the screen, we challenged Wildside to find people of color to, like a great mix of people of color. And I
Mhm.
think we had a good mix of people. We had Latino, Asian, um, Black, and we also had white. So it's like we had a good mix of everybody in there. And I don't think any one episode has every episode has a mix of characters.
Mm.
So it wasn't just about for me, when I was asking them for casting, and Wildside was really good with this. I was like, it's great to just cast for great skilled people. I want
Mm.
that. And I want characters, and I want people who want to talk and get into it, and people who are exciting, because that's what you need for reality. But at
Mhm.
the same time, I want representation. I want a little
Right.
kid who is, sitting in the Dominican Republic and they watch the show. I want them to feel like, oh, I could do that.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
I want them to see themselves on camera, because I never had that growing up.
Mm.
And if I did, what would life have been?
Mm.
How would things, if I had seen, oh, I could do that too. Like, so television was this thing.
Mhm.
Star Wars was the first movie I watched. It was that thing.
Mhm.
There was nobody. So I'm like, now I want it to be, especially with reality shows, when you get into it, it is, oh, that guy could live next door to me. I
Wow.
could do this one day.
Yeah.
Um, and so it was important for casting for us to do that. And Wildside really stepped up, and they found some great people. And yeah, we have a great cast.
And it's so important, like you said, for you to see someone who looks like you and not just the one token person. We need
Yes.
to continue to see it on a variety of shows, topics, genres, everything, because when we see that, it doesn't feel so out of reach from us.
So I then, and Fuse was great. Because Henry, Sydney, John, who are the execs there,
Mm,
they let me play. They really let me play,
I love that.
because I said to them, "Who do you see as host?" And they were like, "Well, it's up to you. We would prefer somebody of color, because Fuse is minority owned, and
Mm,
so we
I didn't
believe."
know that.
Right. So it's they do believe very heavily in diversity in front of the camera, especially. So they
Mhm,
were on board with me doing the casting for the contestants that way. So
mhm,
I was going for somebody who is fun. I wanted somebody interesting. Let me just say it, I really wanted a black host.
yeah,
Because I thought about all the other fashion series out there, and I wanted, like, you know, a black fashion voice.
mhm, mhm,
And so in the middle of the night one night, I burst out of bed. I was like, "Oh my God, Karuchi!"
yeah.
They were just like, "You think Karuchi is gonna?" I was like, "Yo, let's, like, we could ask her, like."
Yes.
Is such a chill, like, person to work with. Like, so we pitched it to her, and she was like, yeah, and she started coming back with all these ideas. And I was like, wait, she's not just gonna, she just doesn't want to, like, she likes the show. Like, she's
Yeah.
like, it's so important. And I've been wearing a lot of upcycled fashion, and I have the perfect stylist. Her stylist, Alexis Chefs, did a lot of her stuff. And a lot
Wow.
of the stuff she wears in the series are pieces that you can see are, like, slightly upcycled, and so very interesting pieces.
Oh, okay.
So the thing about this show that is different from most of the other fashion series and everything
Mhm,
is they come in and they mentor and they massage you in most of the other series.
mhm.
This one, they literally tell you what they think before they judge you.
I
So they give you a prejudge. So when they come in and they do mentor moments, and some of them are not in the episodes, but they will come in and they will be like, okay, this color doesn't go with this color.
Mm.
Like, but maybe you want to go back in and dig this up. And
Mhm.
so there were instances, I don't know if they actually made it to the cuts, I can't remember, but there was an instance where there was a guy and he was, like, doing the most with leather. And Jerome was like, I really want you to win, because I can see that you have this vision, but this is taking you too long. Come, let's go digging to find other fabric that you can do this fast with. So it is that they really took on a very maternal and paternal role in trying to help these designers build and step out of their comfort zone and do even more than they had the potential to do.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to start streaming it, and I hope everyone else does too. I'm sure they'll enjoy it. I finished the hype. Now I gotta watch Upcycle Nation. What is next for you? What can we expect to keep our eyes on, and where can we follow your work in next projects?
Okay, so you can follow me on Instagram. I'm always there posting food and parties. I'm just kidding. Not parties because I've gone past that. But yeah, I'm always there posting things about film and TV because it is my passion. It is my first love. Um, so it's Tanya T2 Taylor on Instagram. However, what am I doing next? Well, right now, I am about to start on a new competition series
Awesome.
where I'll be running basically the challenge portion of it. So I'll be co-EPing on something like that. So I will be doing a bunch of different series as long as they'll have me. Um, and I'm always doing, the universe always puts in front of me projects that I enjoy, projects that make me smile, and projects that I can lend my cultural lens to. And television, um, I've found that there's only a certain type of content that's been made in unscripted that is heavily people of color behind the scenes, and
Mhm.
competition is not one of them. So
Wow.
even when I was crewing up for my thing on Upcycle Nation, it was hella hard to find
Mm.
people. It
Wow.
was really difficult to find people who understood the competition space,
Mhm.
people who wanted to work in the competition space as well. Uh,
Mhm.
and so, that made it really hard for me, but I still kept pushing.
I am just so inspired by everything that you're doing and what you're sharing because I can only imagine if I'm feeling inspired and motivated by the opportunity for us to have these other opportunities. I can only imagine what it's like being on these sets that you create.
When you kick ass, you're seen by people you don't think that are seeing you.
Right,
mean, you're respected by people you don't think are respecting you,
right.
and they mention your name and they talk about you in rooms that you don't even know happen.
Mm,
I've before gotten jobs and I don't know how I got them, but it is that there are people out there that you just don't know, but they see you just
mhm,
working hard and doing the thing, and they see you.
right.
Yeah.
It's just a testament, just keep going and believing in yourself and working hard. I love this. I'm so excited and so just inspired that we had this conversation and you were able to share your wisdom with my audience and hopefully soon your audience. And I hope you come back.
I hope you have me back. Yes.
Yes, of course.
All right.
This was amazing. Thank you so much. And we will talk really soon. Thank you,
For
Tanya.
having me. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching and tuning in to this episode of Let's Talk Life. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe. Until next time, bye.